Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Crazy. Getting ready to leave.
So sometimes when I'm looking at this computer screen, people can't hear me here. So go ahead and holler if you can't hear me. But I have it pulled up close.
We're doing something very exciting for us, which has nothing to do with the library building project. We're going to New York City.
You are?
It's been so long since we've been to New York City. It's like a foreign country. And
Yes.
it would be fascinating.
Do you have plans of
I
things
have
that you
family. Yeah. And then we have some things we're going to do too.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I haven't been a lot. And of course I haven't been since the pandemic.
Yeah.
But hi, Carolyn. Hi, Molly. We'll give people, oh, it's only 5:56.
What time is the library open tomorrow?
3 to 6.
I might be able to pick up my holds,
Okay.
maybe.
If you want me to put them outside, I can, but tomorrow's one of the days that we're open. Okay.
I can definitely pick them up on Saturday because I have to go take Sarah down and she's taking the PSAT and has to be there before 7:30, which is
Uh-huh.
great because she's
Yeah.
going to be at the high school until midnight working on the play.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good luck to her.
You're a sophomore? Yeah, okay.
I totally predict that she's going to be the tech supervisor or whatever they're called when she's a senior. She's already one of the most diligent, reliable
On the
people.
play. Yeah.
They've got some lofty title that I'm not remembering.
Right. Yeah. Neither of my kids was ever involved in in the big play at the high school. So Rachel was always so busy doing performing arts outside of school. So
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Sarah's doing tech because she's been in chorus since forever and was in all of the plays in elementary school, all of Aaron's plays.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Rachel said about dance the other day. This is the first year she's not dancing. And she said, somebody said something like, oh, why aren't you dancing? And she said, my body hurts just thinking about it. So, yeah.
She seems too young to be able to say something like that.
I know, but a lot of the dancers
No,
had,
it's depending on what kind of dance you're doing, it can really do a number on you.
yeah, a lot of her friends had issues, they'd be out for a little while, or, not able to do certain things for a little while because of an injury. So, 5:59. So I'm going to wait till 6:01. Oh, I know what it was. Chris said, why don't you major and dance? And that's what it was. And she said, my body hurts just thinking about it. So.
Dance was one of my majors.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes, only because it was so much fun. I got to take the professional level classes. I had no intention of actually pursuing it. I wasn't that good, but it was just really, really fun.
Yes, it is. It's fun. It's fun to watch dance. So
I took one dance class in college and should have taken it pass fail. I did not, and it brought down my grade point average a lot because I had no idea how you were supposed to move across the floor like a tree. What does that even mean?
I think that's a problem with them, Molly. And okay. All right. So it's 6. I'm gonna wait till 6:01. Just to give people, we've got, let's see, how many people do we have here? We have 10 people here. And then I will just give people another minute to log in. There are people logging in now. So, hi, Susan. Hi, Susie.
Hi.
So tonight I'm going to go. So a couple of weeks ago, we had 2 nights where we went through the program areas that I had described already. And I have described all the program areas I'm going to describe for this grant application. And so we'll go through the rest of them tonight. And it's really helpful to get people's feedback. So I'm going to start with sharing my screen and start going through some of the sections. And then when I get to the adult collection section, I'll stop there and explain how I got to the area that I did, because it's a big area. And a lot of work goes into figuring out how much space each area should have. But we'd be here forever if I explained it for all of the areas, but certainly ask. So the week before last, we did the vestibule in the lobby. And I'm just starting, and these aren't in really any kind of order that makes any sense. They're just in the order that I did them. So I'm starting with the exterior entrance. And this is that spot right in front of the front doors of the library when you first get there. And so in every area, there's, what do you do in that area? That's the functions performed. So it's the entrance, the book return, the outdoor holds pickup, the meeting place, and this is where the library happens. So user seating is another category that we're asked to fill in, and I put 3. We'll have a bench outside the front door, and other furnishings will be a bicycle rack and a trash can. Let's see. So there'll be a through wall hardwired set of electronic lockers in multiple sizes that are accessible from inside the staff workspace. And these will be for after hours pickup. This is a new thing that libraries are just starting to do, and it's really a brilliant thing. And then we'll have a through wall exterior book return. So can folks mute
Oh,
themselves?
the rice I just said is for tomorrow's dinner.
Oh,
Alrighty. So then we'll have a through wall exterior book return that's accessible from the staff workspace too. There'll be Wi-Fi outside, and then there'll be a hose bib. And a hose bib is an outdoor faucet. That's a fancy word for outdoor faucet. And this will be close to the parking and the lobby. And let's see, so for architectural details, the doors should be protected by an overhang. There should be clear signage with the hours and contact information. The lockers and the exterior book return should be protected from an overhang. There should be exterior motion sensor lighting and a skid-free, durable, easy to maintain exterior walkway between the parking, the sidewalk, and the entrance. So that means that you should be able to shovel the snow. And there should be exterior electrical outlets for people who need to charge their devices when they're using the Wi-Fi. Any questions about that area?
I have a question.
Okay.
I brought this up before, but I'm not sure. Do you think that there could be any possibility of an electronic sign that could be advertising your programs so that people would see it from the outside? And you could maintain it with a computer as opposed to, you know, a whiteboard, which is subject to the elements or whatever?
So I was planning signage like that, sort of inside the library behind the circ desk. I think something like that sounds expensive. And I think there could be something, you know what there could be? There could be one of those sandwich board sign things. I'm gonna put that in. Is that how you spell it?
No H. There you go.
And you know, and that is also something that could be added after the fact.
Is that a
Susie,
chalkboard or?
well, so it'll depend. So sandwich board signs, we have one now. And they're those signs with the letters and you build the words with the
Oh, okay.
letters. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Susie, you had a question, and then Susan.
Yeah. The current program we use for our calendar called My Town Government has a kiosk portion to it, which we haven't done. But what it does is it offers the calendar of meetings. And I've always felt that some of the other events in town should also be listed on that calendar. And so I've been thinking we should find out how to do that. It's not that expensive, but it would be visible for people to be able to find out what's happening in town, and we could include library events if we want to do that.
But that would be just an online thing.
Yes, with a
Okay.
kiosk that shows you what's up
Okay,
screen.
great. Alrighty. Okay. So that really doesn't have anything to do with the building.
No, but you would probably put it in the area you're talking about.
All right. So it's a device.
You're asking Techno Suze. Yeah, it's called a
Okay.
kiosk, they say.
Oh, okay, all right.
it's-
I think it's a screen.
Alright.
It's a screen that
Okay,
shows the
alrighty,
calendar
Okay,
on that,
okay,
from that
okay.
website.
all right. Let's see. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Okay, all right, so why don't I put, let's see, I'm gonna just put a screen to advertise programs. All right.
Mhm.
Okay, Susan was next.
Marianne, would you mind briefly explaining what electronic locker is?
Okay, so over at the post office, if you have a post office box and they give you a key, some people have post office boxes outside and they have keys.
Yep.
And so there are electronic lockers where there's a code. So if your holds came in and
Okay.
you couldn't get to the library until 9, the library would email you a code and you would put the code into the locker. And so it's just a code instead of a key. And that's why it's electronic.
Okay, I got it. It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and then I specified hardwired electronic because the Irving Library has them, but they're battery operated. And
Ooh,
the batteries die all the time. It's really a terrible situation. And so it's a really good idea that another library has employed, and we can do it, but we can improve on it.
gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see any other questions, so I'm gonna move on to the next area. And the next area is periodical display. And in this area, people will browse magazines and read quietly. This area has occupancy of 4 people with user seating for 4 people, 2 lounge chairs with a low table, and a small table with 2 chairs. There's flexible, mobile, flat shelving for magazine boxes that display the covers, and 36 linear feet of shelving.
I have a question.
Yep.
Are you also providing for newspaper use, which may still happen?
Okay. We don't have newspaper use now. I think there would be plenty of room here to stick a couple of newspapers in, or a newspaper. You know, we've never had room for newspaper use. You
I
know,
know,
yeah.
but it's really
and
popular at Jones. That's why I'm asking.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think,
Older people mostly.
yes, right. I think if there's a call for newspapers, I think there'll be plenty of room to
Okay.
stick them in here.
All right.
How long do you keep the newspapers at the Jones?
Well, it depended on which ones. I mean, there were a lot of subscriptions. For something like the Amherst Bulletin, like probably 5 years. I'm not sure exactly
Okay,
because I
all
didn't
right.
maintain it at all. But
Okay.
for the other ones, some of the other ones were a much shorter amount of time, like maybe 30 days. There was a lot more storage for that, obviously.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so the periodical area is close to the quiet reading nook. It's close to large windows overlooking a woodland setting. I have told the MBLC that we're going to provide the woodland setting. So, okay. And I think no matter where we put this library, we can probably be, pretty confident that there'll be a woodland setting. It'll be distant from noisy areas and the entrance. There'll be about 200 square feet. It'll have excellent overhead lighting, UV protected windows, and resilient sound dampening flooring. Any other questions about the periodical area before I move on? No? Okay. The adult computer area. This is where patrons will use computers. There'll be room for 4 people, with seating for 4 people and 4 workstation areas, 2 for desktop computers and 2 for laptops, and 4 chairs. So there'll be 2 desktops there, and then there'll be laptops behind the circulation desk that people can take and use, or this is someplace where somebody could use their own laptop. So for equipment, 2 desktop computers, electrical outlets, and a USB port, Ethernet ports, and Wi-Fi. Any questions about that before I move on? No? Okay. Let's see, it's close to the circulation desk, distant from the children's room and windows and noisy areas. It's 100 square feet, and it has electrical outlets, good overhead lighting, resilient floors, and acoustical ceilings. Next is the kitchenette. This is where food and supply, this is for food and supply storage and simple food preparation for program refreshments, outside meetings, and staff lunch breaks. The occupancy will be 2. The furnishings are a trash can, recycle bin, and compost bucket. The equipment is a fire extinguisher, a sink, microwave, refrigerator, and dishwasher. This is close to the community rooms, restrooms, and entrance. So this is going to be right off the community room, distant from the children's room and quiet areas. It's just going to be a little tiny kitchenette, 80 square feet. It'll have excellent overhead lighting, an exhaust fan, electrical outlets for small appliances, resilient, easy to clean flooring, base and wall cabinets, and a small counter. Any questions about the kitchenette?
I just want to say among the small appliances that a toaster oven would be well used.
You know, we could maybe add that. I mean, it's certainly a toaster oven, an electric tea kettle would be well used, but I think that, you know, we don't have to include every single,
Okay.
that is a good idea. So we can, I'm going to scroll down to restrooms.
Marianne,
Yep.
I was just a question. I thought when we did that Irving one, I thought they mentioned something about they avoided having like a refrigerator or something because it brought up some other issue in terms of like food aspect or something. I thought I remember her saying something about why
So
their
they
kitchenette
don't
wasn't.
Right, they don't have a stove. They
Oh, is that
definitely,
it?
they have
It's
a
a
full,
stove.
yeah, they have a
Okay.
full-size refrigerator in Irving.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they don't, so they don't want stoves because they don't want, stoves add a whole other level of
Danger.
danger, and you have to have exhaust hoods for them. So they don't want a stove, and I'm gonna wait and ask about a toaster oven, because I think that they could, they might, you know, they might not like the idea of a toaster oven too, but I'm gonna ask. And we would, Molly, you did say we would have to have a enough counter room to put a toaster oven.
I really like the toaster oven and the kettle we have.
You don't like the ones you have? Okay. all right.
No, I do. I like having
Oh,
them here. It makes
yes,
working
okay.
a long day
Okay,
better.
it does. You know what? I'm gonna add in a toaster oven. I think, you know, I think a kettle could be in a cabinet and you take it out when you use it. And I could see that a toaster oven could be used for things. Okay, any other questions? Oh, Susie has a question.
So with the dishwasher, are you thinking of storing washable items in this? And I don't see drawers. I don't know if a base unit means drawers. So I was wondering what you were envisioning there.
So there's cabinets, and so there would be cabinets and drawers, like a, you know, in a kitchen, but a small. So I can put base and wall cabinets with shelves and drawers. Okay. Okay, that's a good thing to add. Okay. All right, I'll move on to the next area. So restrooms. So we'll have, this library will have 2 single-use restrooms. And the restrooms will have exhaust fans, changing tables, waste bins, shatterproof mirrors, soap dispensers, toilets, sink with low flow automatic faucets, paper towel dispensers, hooks for coats and bags, and small shelves for phones, books, and things like purses. These will be close to the community meeting room, the lobby, the entrance, and the children's room. They'll have, the area required will be ADA compliant. And they'll be accessible via the lobby during public events when the library is closed. They'll have motion activated, excellent overhead lighting, durable, easy to clean surfaces, and ADA compliant fixtures. Do you have a question about this, Susie, or is your hand up from before?
I wondered about, having just gone through COVID, do you think the soap dispenser would be automatic? I mean, is that the level we're going to? No.
So, you know, I think at the time, we'll decide. And I think, so if we get this grant, first you go through design, and then when you're choosing all of your finishes and equipment and furniture and everything, you go through a process called value engineering. And you say, you know, we've got X number of dollars and we really want to have these things, and then we want these other things to be less expensive. So, I think, you know, like automatic soap dispensers are fine, but we may choose to spend money on other things. And I don't think that's, you know, a big priority. But we, you know, we'll certainly know more about the pandemic by the time we're actually building a library building. I don't see any other questions, so I'll go on to community meeting room storage closet. So this is where the meeting room furniture and equipment will be stored. There'll be dollies for storage of 75 chairs and 8 flip-top tables. So the chairs and the tables will be stored on racks that are easy to move. And then there'll be cabinets for AV and program equipment. This is going to be directly adjacent to the meeting room, about 150 square feet. It'll have excellent overhead lighting, lockable double doors, resilient flooring, and electrical outlets. Any questions about that, Carolyn?
Do you need to specify that you'll have a screen and what kind of screen it would be, whether it's going to be freestanding or something that rolls down or whatever?
So that we
Did I miss
described
that?
it in the community meeting room
Oh,
a
okay.
couple of weeks
Sorry.
ago, and the screen is gonna, you know, will either be one of those giant flat screen TVs or a screen that pulls down from the ceiling.
Okay, great.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, adult collections. So now I'm going to go to my PowerPoint presentation. Can you see it? No, you don't see it. So I have to stop the share and then let's see. And then click share screen again. And then go to this one, share. So the adult collections area is a big area. So, and I did this with the children's area. So I just thought I would go through how I planned this, and I didn't have as much time, so it's a little disorganized at the end. But anyway, this is a very clear slide. How did I plan this space? Oops, let's see. Okay. So our current holdings, we have 3,500 adult books in our collection, 2,200 fiction and 1,300 nonfiction. And then recent circulation. And if you look back through the past 10 years, it's right around these numbers too. But you can see that our adult book circulation is about double the size of our collection. let's see. And then I looked at, and so then how do you figure out how many books you should have? So we have high circulation. We're using each of our books twice. And then I looked at other libraries that are in towns that are about the size of Shutesbury, that are here in Western Massachusetts. And these are all libraries that are newer or larger. So, libraries built in the last 20 years or libraries that were built a long time ago, but were already really big compared to ours. And I did, and you can see, I did their collections and I did circulation. And so we have 3,482 books and and this is last year's circulation statistics. We circulated 6,321. And then Leverett and Irving have around 5,000 books. Well, Leverett is closer to 6,000. Buckland is 4,400. West Hampton is 7,100. Shelburne is 6,800. And then I looked at their circulation. So Leverett's circulation is higher than ours. They've got twice as many books and their circulation is about 25% higher. Irving's collection is bigger, their circulation is lower. Buckland's collection is bigger than ours, their circulation is lower than ours. West Hampton's collection is bigger, their circulation's about the same. And then Shelburne's collection is, twice what ours is, and their circulation's about half of ours. So the average holdings of these 6 towns is 5,500 books. And so, and then I think about what does our library have and what's missing from our library. So our library has pretty good collections of fiction, but our nonfiction is only half the size of our fiction collection. And it has a lot of holes in it. We don't have a large print collection, and we have an aging population who asks for a large print collection. And our graphic novel collection is very small, and that's a popular emerging genre in libraries. So I'm recommending that we double the size of our collection to about 6,000 items to meet our high demand and to allow for collection development in the areas that we aren't able to because we don't have the space. And how do we get to this 6,000? We already add about 190 fiction and 100 nonfiction every year, but our shelves are full. So we're forced to weed one book for each book we add. Adding approximately 300 items a year while also maintaining the collection through best practices, which means we'll continue to weed. We just won't weed as aggressively. This will allow the collection to grow slowly over time. We don't have to double the collection all at once. What else goes in the adult collection? DVDs.
Sorry, may I ask you a question?
Yep. Who is that?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Can I just ask a question? When you say 6,000, this is excluding interlibrary loans.
Right.
Thank you.
Interlibrary loans aren't part of our collection. So what else goes in the adult collection? DVDs. So we have about 2,000 DVDs. And just a few years ago, DVD usage was a huge part of our circulation. We circulated 12,799 DVDs in fiscal year 19. So then a couple of things happened. We built a broadband network and the pandemic. Last year, we only circulated 3,500 DVDs. So people, 90% of households in Shutesbury are connected to Shutesbury.net. That doesn't mean they all have the ability to stream, but a lot of them do. And the pandemic happened. So DVD use won't go away. We're still, as you can see, we're still circulating DVDs, about a third of what we once were, or somebody else can do that math. No, it's a third or a quarter, something like that. So it's one of those. But a fraction, it's definitely a fraction of what we used to circulate, but we still circulate DVDs. And some of the people who need our DVDs don't have any other way of accessing the material that's on DVDs. And then, you know, the library offers a couple of streaming platforms, and use of those has increased. But I think a lot of people in Shutesbury are streaming from private paid options at home, and we won't see our use of DVDs climb back up to almost 13,000 items a year. So we don't need room for this collection to really grow, but we also won't eliminate the collection, and we'll continue to refresh it, but we won't expect it to grow like we would have 10 years ago. What else goes in is audiobooks, and the library has about 400 audiobooks. Usage has also dropped in this collection. Only 709 borrows in fiscal year 21 compared to 1,900 in fiscal year 19. We're not commuting as much, that might change, but newer cars don't have CD players. Devices that make streaming audiobooks so easy are, you know, ubiquitous in society now. Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to eliminate the collection. It just means we're not going to grow the collection. We're not going to add more space.
A lot of people don't have new cars. I just want
Right.
to say
That's
I'm-
right. So that's why
I'm a
we're
big
not going
user
to,
of discs.
right. We're not going to eliminate the collection. We're just not going to expect it to grow. And eventually everybody will have new cars. And we won't, you know, when we first move into a new library, there'll be a lot of empty shelves. So there'll be room for everything that we have to stay in a collection. And if the collection, you know, has more use, then certainly we'll reevaluate. And we're planning flexibility into this program so that we can accommodate changes. But I don't really think that audiobooks are going to be growing in circulation. Okay. So what else goes in the collection? Music CDs. And we have a collection of 300 CDs, and they circulate with surprising frequency. But the good thing about those is they really don't take up much space. So we add it all up, 6,000 books at 8 book per linear foot equals 750 linear feet of shelving. 400 audiobooks at 8 per foot, that's 50 feet of linear shelving, or 50 linear feet of shelving. 2,000 DVDs at 20 per foot is 100 linear feet. That's a total of 900. And then, so how much shelf space, you know, floor space does 900 linear feet of shelving take? So if you have a 9-foot by 2-foot shelf units that are 6 shelves high, that's 8 units that we would need. If you have a 9-foot, all right, so if you have a 9-foot, I need my hands to describe this. So if you have a 9-foot shelf unit, for ADA compliance, you have to add 3 feet on each end. So that makes it 15 feet. If it's 2 feet wide, you need a 3.5-foot aisle on either side. So that makes it 2 and 3.5 is 9 feet. So it's 9 by 15, which I have written right here. That's 135 feet for each of the 8 units. So a total of 1,080 square feet. Now I've planned for 800 square feet for the adult collections, because not everything is going to need an aisle and not everything's going to need an end. Some things will be against the wall. Some of those aisles, when you line them all up, will go away. They won't all have an aisle on both sides. And I think that is it. It is. Does anybody have questions about that? Molly?
Do you have any display space?
In other places. So,
Okay.
so the end caps will have displays. And then there's new book browsing, and sort of seasonal and highlighted collections right when you walk into the lobby of the library. I'm gonna stop sharing this and go back to our program spaces. So then I have to do this and this. Okay. So adult collections. So functions.
Could I ask
for
a question before you
Yeah.
go on?
Mhm.
How tall will these shelving units be? And I know you said it could be six shelves, and presumably you're not going to be planning to fill the top shelf or maybe even the bottom shelf at first, and there's room for expansion. Jones did something like that, and it was really kind of problematic when the collection grew and the top shelves were being used. We got a lot of complaints about that actually, because they're tall. I mean, are you gonna have a step stool, or can everybody use a step stool, or, I don't know if
So,
I might
right,
be way off on this, but it seems like they'll be kind of tall.
right. So, so I had a talk with Lauren Stara from the MBLC about shelving and ADA compliance. And now, so my guess is that it'll vary some, and there'll be some lower shelf units and some taller shelf units. And they won't all be uniformly 6 shelves high. We have units that are 6 shelves. Actually, almost everything is 6 shelves high here. So, um, either we can have 6 shelves and eventually use the top shelf and the bottom shelf, or we can have less items, or we can have a bigger library. So I think what we have to do is plan for good enough, and we will have some step stools in the library, and not everybody will be able to use. Some people will be tall enough to reach the top shelf. Some people won't. Some people will be able to use a step stool. Some people will rely on staff or a neighbor to do that for them. And it's a case of where we're going to have to just do the best we can. Because to think of what, so if somebody was seated, or if it's just very small people, you would have a very low range of the shelving that most people could
Yeah.
use.
Well, I'm thinking about a lot of people being maybe only about 5 feet tall, able-bodied, but about 5 feet tall. I don't know what your experience has been. Maybe it hasn't been an issue in Shutesbury.
Well, we have a lot of issues in Shutesbury. Yeah. Susan? You need to unmute Susan.
Sorry, I'm 5'2" and I don't have any problem reaching the top shelf.
Okay, good. Good, thank you. So, good.
Great.
Yeah, and and it's not, I mean, there's also the thing of when, we all know, people who work in libraries at least know that things on the top, the highest shelves and the lowest shelves circulate less. So that's why we take those things and put them on display every once in a while. Okay. Alrighty, so the adult collections area is for browsing of adult book and non-print materials. The occupancy is 8 to 12 people. So here I have 950 feet of linear shelving, but I just added it up and it's 900, so I'm going to change that. Mobile double-faced steel shelving with slat wall display end panels for displaying things, Molly. And then a compact display unit for CDs. So the book capacity is 6,000 books, 2,000 DVDs, 300 music CDs, and 400 audiobooks on CD. This is close to quiet reading, the adult computer area, and highly visible from the entrance, distant from the children's room. The area required is 800 square feet. And then this is me describing to the architects what I think this should look like. So I want that I want the adult book collection to be visible when people enter the library. And I want the stacks to be integrated into the adult services area. So I'm picturing the books, and here I have my arms. You can't see me. The books hugging the adults using the library. So and I really am. So the computer area, the periodical area, and seating areas will stretch through the adult stacks, and the stacks will surround them, and they'll be visible from the entrance. And while libraries are about a gajillion other things beside books, in Shutesbury, the library is still very much about books, and we should see them and feel their presence around us. Les, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yep. Now we can't hear you, Leslie.
Okay,
Now-
now you
okay.
can,
Yes.
right? So what you're visioning is similar to what we were looking at in the Leverett Library?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So it'll have uniformly organized shelves, making wayfinding easy, which is actually, even though this library is tiny, we do not have uniformly organized shelves, and wayfinding is not easy. It'll have excellent overhead lighting, the lighting will be running perpendicular to the shelving units, and the lighting will be enhanced by natural lighting from clear story windows. Okay. Resilient flooring, acoustical ceiling, and that is it for the adult collections area. Any questions about that? No? Okay. The adult quiet reading nook. So this is a quiet reading and study area with occupancy for three seats, three nice upholstered chairs and a small table. It's close to the windows, the adult book collections, and the periodicals. It's distant from the entrance and noisy areas. It's 100 square feet. And this nook is at the far end of the adult section, far away from the entrance and circulation desk. It has excellent lighting and is also set beside large windows that look out onto a woodland setting. It has sound dampening flooring, electrical outlets, acoustical ceiling. Okay, any questions about that before we go into staff workroom?
Yes, Marianne, I do.
Okay,
I'm thinking you might want to rethink the kinds of chairs you have in the quiet nook. First of all, some
Okay.
people may want to take notes on what they're reading, and other
Okay.
people are going to want to sit in a chair that has a straight back for various physical reasons. So you might
Okay.
want to have one chair that fits at the table that's a regular straight chair.
okay. Alrighty,
They
so,
have chairs with little swivel desk thingies, which are nice.
they do have chairs with little swivel desk things. I'm gonna put 2 upholstered chairs, and 1 straight back chair. And then when we are actually choosing the furniture, we'll keep that for note taking. How's that sound? That way we're clear. And there's also a table with 2 chairs in the periodical section too. Okay, let me save this. Let's see, any questions before I move on to the next area? No? Okay. Staff workroom. So let's see, in the staff workroom, there'll be small staff meetings, cataloging, materials processing, and administration. The occupancy is 2. There'll be 1 standing height modular counter for materials processing, 1 staff desk, 2 adjustable height office chairs, a book truck, a file cabinet. And let's see, there'll be Wi-Fi, Ethernet ports, desktop computer, printer, telephone. It'll be close to the entrance, circulation, book return and locker room, director's office, and telecom closet. The area required is 200 square feet. It'll have resilient flooring, excellent overhead lighting, a wall with large windows with sight lines. Let's see. Into the entrance and circulation desk area, a lockable door, acoustical separation from the circulation area, wall-mounted cabinets and shelving for equipments and supplies, and electrical outlets. Let's see. I just want to go back up here. Okay, we do have Ethernet ports up there. All righty. Any questions about the staff work area? Leslie?
I'm sorry, I always has so much trouble muting and not, so you can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so how do you envision like the number of staff people in kind of like an ordinary day? Are some of them library staff and some volunteers, or how do you see that flow working?
Some would be library staff and some would be volunteers, much like it was before the pandemic. There were days when when Cynthia and I would overlap and there'd be a couple of volunteers here. And in a building where there's actually room for people to be, there would be space for more volunteers. So it would be, there would always be a library staff person. And then there would often be, if not always, but often be volunteers too. Susie, you have a question?
Yep. I didn't notice what you had in the counter for counter. It's probably on the previous page. And I was thinking about what we saw in Leverett. Yeah, so this modular counter. Okay. And then they had some shelving that was specific to like the stickers or drawers and stuff like that. So that would be,
Yeah,
it
and
seems
we
like it's a
have,
really important piece. This
right.
the
Yeah,
working
and-
area.
Yeah, I actually think that we could take our current circulation desk furniture and use it in the staff workroom. Because, because we have a standing height desk that has the materials processing rolls on it already. So some of this is equipment we already have that we'll be bringing with us.
Doesn't
and,
it still make sense to add that in?
And I was also thinking about like the lockbox for money and, a space to deal with that because that's in the current library, but it's mixed in with everything else.
Right. So I think we had a lockbox. Oh, so a lockbox for the Friends money. Let's put that under furnishings. I'm just gonna put cash. All right. Okay, Molly, you had a question?
I was just saying that even if you are going to reuse some of the stuff you have in the current library, I think putting it here and even
Okay.
saying like from current library, just so there's enough floor space and it's taken into
Okay.
consideration for design.
Okay,
And I would just also second, you can never have too much storage.
right.
I agree.
Okay.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything about a work table here. And I don't know if you expect to be unpacking boxes and, doing whatever with the books, putting on the stickers or taping the covers. But it might be best to have something that is not at standing height only for that sort of thing. Work
Right.
tables are like, what we used constantly in our work in tech
Right.
services.
Right. And again, I think that the 3 pieces of furniture that we have here now, if they were in a place where you know, so we have 3 pieces of furniture that could meet that need. And, you know, it would be a shame to not, you know, it would be a shame to not use them. And, you know, and then people will also be doing some of this work at the circulation desk like we do now, because it's still going to be, you know, at the Jones Library, all of this kind of stuff off somewhere else.
Well, the scale is obviously way different, but
Yes.
you know,
so, yeah.
ergonomically,
Right.
you would
Yeah,
want something.
we
lower.
do. I think we have, you know, I think we have those kinds of surfaces already. And we'll just take them with us. So I just added that other, but I added the work table because we do have it all in it, you know, and it's not something that you're going to use out front and center.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, Mary Ann, one more question. Do you think this is the space that you will prepare materials for your programs, your reading programs and stuff like that? Is that this space for that?
Yes. Yeah.
So do you feel like you
yeah.
have enough room in this plan for making kits and stuff?
So between this and room at the circulation desk, and there's also a director's office planned between those 3 spaces. You know, I don't think it's enough space, but I think that we are under pressure to cut corners, and I would rather cut corners from the staff workspace than from the public spaces. Truth be told, it's not enough space for the work that we do. But we do all of that work now in about 112 feet. So, and then a couple of rooms at my house.
We'll have a walkway to your house. Put that in the
That
plan.
would be good, or a tram. We could have a tram.
Yeah.
Leslie, you have a question?
Mary Ann? Hello?
Al?
Yeah, so I have a follow-up question on staffing, and I know we talked about this over the phone when we had our one-on-one call. You're very generous with your time, and I can't remember specifically, pardon, but I brought up what the library director, the Leverett Library had said, that they had made a decision to always have 2 library staff people there. Or does that include 1 library staff and 1 volunteer, or how does that work?
Well, so Leslie, this isn't Leverett. We live in Shutesbury, and Leverett makes decisions for the Leverett Library, and Shutesbury makes decisions for the Shutesbury Library. So the Leverett Library has decided to always have 2 staff persons. I don't know if their plan is if that includes volunteers. But this isn't Leverett. We're a freestanding public library controlled by the town of Shutesbury, and Shutesbury will make its own decisions about how it runs its library. And we've had 1 staff person. Well, we don't have 1 staff person at a time, but we mostly have 1 staff person at a time for 117 years now. So I don't really see a big need for that. You know, to always have to have 2 staff people. So I think we live in a safe community. Okay, thank you, Brad. I'll send you this document again at the end of this program. Okay, are you satisfied with that question, with the answer to that question?
No.
All right. So what is it that I'm not saying?
Well, what what you said right towards the end, this is, Shutesbury, we make our own decisions. Yes, that's for granted. But that we've done with 1 person, for 100 years or whatever it is. But we've done that with a library that's less than 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, I don't think Leverett has made a decision to have 2 people because of the size of the library. I don't think this library is safer for the staff person because it's less than 1,000 square feet. I think we're going to design a library that has clear sight lines to all the areas of the library from the circulation desk. I know it's possible because I've seen it done over and over and over again across the country, actually. Um, and and so when libraries make the decision to have 2 staff people, they do it for safety reasons, not for management reasons. The Leverett Library is almost 20 years old, and they have just now, with this brand new director, made this decision. It's not a decision they've had before now. They've been running that library with, so what's happening is they're having reduced hours because of it. And we tend to have more hours than a lot of libraries our size. We have higher circulation. We have exponentially more programs than most libraries our size. And we have a culture of providing those services and systems in place for providing those services. And we are, if the library is, and the library is going to be centrally located so that it's either going to be visible from the road or very close to town hall, where there would be other people coming and going. And I think, and I don't have those safety concerns that some people in other towns have. So this is Shutesbury. Just because one other library decided they need 2 staff people doesn't mean that Shutesbury has decided they need to have 2 staff people. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next area. Interior book return and lockers. So this is kind of boring stuff. This will be a little room off the staff workroom. This is the kind of space that you don't assign any space for because it comes under that extra 30% that you add. But there needs to be a room that's kind of secure and removed from the rest of the library where books that go into the book return go, and where staff places the items in the locker. And it just seems to make sense to me that these would both be in the same place with these through wall units.
Right. Did you say that the state won't pay for this?
Oh no, they'll pay for this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I
Yep.
misunderstood.
Okay. Yep. 75%.
Good.
So, and then this room needs to be big enough so that the mobile book cart can move in and out. A staff person can be in there and move the mobile book cart in and out. And it'll have excellent overhead lighting. It'll have space to move the book trucks in and out, and it'll have resilient flooring. Okay, now the director's office. And, believe it or not, a director's office is controversial here in Shutesbury. And so for people who don't think we need a director's office, I would ask them to think about the director being somebody other than me, because I won't be here forever.
Well, not only that, people need to have a private conversation once in a while with
Right.
you or whoever's in
Yeah.
that position.
Right, absolutely.
Office is needed.
Yes, and I mean, it just makes sense that there's a place where the administrative work can happen and where where the work can be, and it doesn't have to be, and where, confidentiality can be kept and things could
Right.
be out on a director's desk and wouldn't have to be put away to make room for the next work person. So this is the administration office. It has a desk, a chair, a file cabinet. Let's see, and then it has a laptop computer, a printer, scanner, a telephone, Wi-Fi, an Ethernet port. It's close to the staff workroom and the circulation area. It's 80 square feet. In our last plan from 10 years ago, this room was 60 square feet, and I made it bigger. It has resilient flooring. It has good acoustical separation from other areas. It has good overhead lighting. It has a lockable door with a window, and it has an operable window to the outside.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Even 80 square feet doesn't sound very big to fit in the furniture that you need, which includes a chair for somebody else to sit when they're talking to you. has that all been fitted in well enough? Because 80 is not much. 100 would be more like it.
I know.
Just
I
saying.
know, and again, I'm gonna change it to 2, and I'm gonna put in, a second chair,
Yes,
and we're having to be, we're having to cut corners, and I would rather cut corners on staff workspace than on public
sure.
areas.
You get it.
So, okay. Okay, Susie, you have a question?
Yeah, I would also suggest that there be shelving. So in terms of if there's windows, you got to make sure there's a wall that you can put shelving up. I see shelving as blank, but not enclosed necessarily, just for different manuals and different things that you would need to have shelved.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right, and I don't think that goes under, I'm just gonna put it under furnishings. Okay, shelving. Okay. I do all of this stuff with nothing now, so it's hard to imagine what someone might need when you're used to doing everything with nothing. Okay, let's see if there's another area. Oh, there is. Okay, all right. So now we get into an area. So we are living through COVID, and so first of all, we're a community that likes to do outside things. Even before COVID, we sometimes chose to do outside things, not because we didn't have an indoor place to do it, but because sometimes it's nice to do outdoor things. And then COVID reminded us how much we enjoy doing things outdoors. And it's quite possible that we're going to have need to have an outdoor programming space in the future, or that we might really appreciate having an outdoor programming space in the future. So I have described a rather large outdoor programming gathering place. And so programs and gatherings will happen here, visiting with neighbors and people using Wi-Fi. There'll be room for 50 people. For large programs, chairs stored in the meeting room will be used, but there will be 4 recycled plastic lounge chairs and a picnic table. This will be close to the community meeting room. I'm envisioning a 700 square foot space. If we're going to do it, it's, creating an outdoor space isn't going to be nearly as expensive.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is it close to the bathrooms too?
Yes, because
Okay.
the bathrooms are going to be right through the community meeting room.
Yes, okay.
So let me put that in there. Okay. Susan, what's your question?
Is there going to be a separate children's play area?
Outside?
Yeah. If the one we have now gets a heck of a lot of use.
The picnic, the sandbox, you mean?
Yeah.
So why don't I put, so, one would really hope that a small little playground, that included a sandbox and then maybe some swings and a play structure would
Yes.
happen. And that would be something that we would do later, maybe with a community preservation grant.
Okay.
So the Board of Library Commissioners isn't going to pay for a playground. So I've envisioned this to be 700 square feet because, again, we like to have big gatherings and, imagine a gathering that's planned outside that turns to rain. Wouldn't it be nice if there's room under the pavilion for everybody who shows up and a couple of tables and display features and things like that. And this will be, so what I'm envisioning now is a roof that's just an extension of the library's roof. The Board of Commissioners will pay for that. The Board of Library Commissioners will pay for this. They'll pay for 75% of this.
Excellent.
It will have retractable screens because we have the world's most ferocious mosquitoes. And so the screens could go down in the evening. It could be open during the day and, you know, and the shoulder seasons when the bugs aren't out yet. And they could go down in the evenings during the summertime, making this a truly usable space, but not confining it by permanent screening. It'll have concrete flooring, electrical outlets, a raised platform at one end for speakers and performers. Okay, any other questions about that, Susie?
Might consider having a drain in the concrete floor, and you also might consider a way to make the community room closet accessible through a door that goes onto this. So that
Oh, that's brilliant.
you can bring out the tables and chairs at through that opening.
Good idea.
Okay, that's brilliant. Anything else? Okay, outdoor storage said, this is the last thing I think. So storage of seasonal equipment, library of things, items, and furniture. You know, we have kayaks that we have never come up with a really secure, reasonable way of storing. People ask a lot about sort of a resource library, a library of things. And oh boy, there've been 3 winters where I came this close to adding snowshoes, and I'm glad I stopped myself. And people ask for tennis rackets and gardening furniture. So anyway, some of this stuff is going to need to have seasonal storage, and so why not on some back side of the building that nobody ever looks like, just, you know, plan some outdoor storage that isn't heated, but that's, you know, constructed properly so that it's rodent proof. So, you know, with a concrete floor and good solid walls and good lockable doors. So I'm picturing a nice big storage space, 200 square feet. You know, we already have 4 pretty big things to go in there, plus the life vests and the paddles. So last year, kayaks were stored at Susie Mosier's house and at my house, and the life vests and paddles were stored at my house. The life vests and paddles have always been stored at my house. We did have 1 year when we stored the kayaks in the bathhouse at Lake Wyola, but we've had some vandalism there. We're going to try storing them again this year and see how it goes. But the life vests and the paddles can't go in there because it's not a mouse-proof space. It'll have lockable double doors, concrete flooring, and overhead lighting. And that's the last space. Oh, okay. And then other spaces to be included are a telecom closet, a janitor's closet, and a mechanical room. The janitor's closet will have space for trash and recyclable storage, a snow blower, and other seasonal maintenance equipment. It'll be accessible from inside and outside so that they can, you know, get the snow blower from outside of the building, get the shovels from outside of the building. You know, and bring the trash out from outside instead of having to drag trash through the building. And then in the parking lot, there'll be a charging station for electric vehicles. So these spaces, we don't assign space to. So what you do is you describe all of your spaces, you add up the square footage, and then you add 30%. And that 30% covers all of these spaces and walls and hallways and things. And then there is some chance for sort of efficiency with that space where it may not come to 30%, but that's what you do. Susie, you have a question?
Yep. So the janitor closet, does it have those a big water place for the bucket, so they're gonna wash the floors. Is it set up for that?
So, yeah, but we don't describe a janitor closet. You know, they have sort of standard equipment.
Okay,
Yes, yes. And yes, the janitor's closet will have access to water. This is going to be a building that has water in it, so the things can actually be cleaned and sanitized. And somebody doesn't have to go over to town hall and get water or bring it from home. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a quick question. You had mentioned that for the adult stacks, that there would be lighting over the stacks that was perpendicular. And I just wanted to make sure that somebody actually who knows really about this stuff technically thinks that that's better than having parallel ones over the, between the stacks.
So Lauren gave me that language.
Okay. all right.
Lauren Starra. So,
Okay.
and
Well, hopefully she knows. I mean,
right. Hopefully she
I've
knows.
seen both. I've seen
Yes.
both in Jones actually, and you might want to look. That's all I can
Right.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and so if we are lucky enough to get the grant and then town meeting, votes to move forward, we'll have lively discussions about there'll be a lighting committee and
Oh, okay. I'll be quiet
decorating
now.
and a furniture committee. And there's a whole meeting that's just about keys. I heard about that the other
Wow.
day. I'm going to try and get
Wow.
somebody else to go to that meeting because it sounds boring. Okay. So, all right. So good. So it's 7:09. I'm happy to go until 7:15 if people have any more questions. No? All right. Well, thank you. I'm gonna put this in the building program workbook. And then pretty soon we're gonna be releasing a draft of everything. I've still got 4 questions to answer in the building program workbook. But those will be done by Monday, I hope. But in the meantime, we're hoping to get that out in the next couple of days so people can start reading it and giving us feedback on it. So great. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank
Well,
you,
Thank you,
Mary Ann.
Mary.
So
Thanks a lot.
next Thursday night at 6 o'clock, we're going to have a Zoom session and talk about the whole entire building program. So, and you'll have, you'll have at least 3 or 4 days to read it. It's like 75 pages, but it's riveting. It's really. Yes,
Great
Susan?
job, Mary Ann.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay.
Mary Ann, I also wanted to say that on the current small library web page, there is the 2009 building program proposal that was put together, and it also compares to Leverett and Wendell spaces. So if people want to read the web page, they'll find out more information.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Susie. There's a bunch of information there. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey.
Is that you, Matt?
It was.
Oh,
Just saying, thank you.
okay.
Very
right.
informative.
All right. See you later.